So, Jeannie, actually, the topic here that I'd like to focus on today is your book. And so I'd like to start out discussing and sharing your book again as Making Change, Facilitating Community Action. And that was with, as you'd mentioned, your co-author, Maureen. And I think there's a lot to share here that can be applied to the organizational level in terms of making sustainable change, goals, and change methods. So first, before we dive into some of the details of your book, Facilitating Change, how do you go about understanding what the true and root opportunities are? So whether it's a ERP organizational change effort, workplace and performance improvement change, or even community change, how do members come to understand and agree on what change is needed?
Well, to begin, I think it's really useful for a team to perceive that they are a team. That is, I've seldom done any changes that weren't done with a team of people, either in business or in the community. And they really need to have some rapport among each other so that they can better come to understand and reach agreements. So to begin, you need to be clear about your mental models. And we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later, but mental models and frameworks give you the opportunity for your team to understand the different perspectives of the people that they're working with. And so that's a starting place. The other thing is the team needs to be really clear about how the beneficiaries of change are viewed. Now, what I mean by beneficiaries of change, it might be the organization, it might be community members, or any number of subgroups within the community. For instance, in our book, we talk about the homeless as beneficiaries, people who are food insecure, and so forth. So then the next step is to look at that and say, okay, are we doing this change with the beneficiaries, for the beneficiaries, or to them? And I think probably it's common knowledge that when you do something to people, they're less likely to accept it than when you're doing it with them. So getting on board with your perspective towards the beneficiaries is an important first start. But after that, there are a number of different techniques that you can use to look at the facts that are behind the need for the change.
Sure.
And one of my favorites, probably the Ishikawa Diagram, or what many people call the Fishbone Diagram. And so you can use that as you're determining what's happening now and what is the desired goal. You take what's happening now and you put that on a page, and then you look at all the possible factors that might contribute to the root causes for that issue or opportunity. So you then identify the key indicators for those factors and look for data to support it. In one of our illustrations in the book, we talked about a group that was working with providing reading material to prisons. And one of the things they thought were perhaps contributing to that was overcrowding in the prisons. And when they collected the data, they found that that was not supported by the evidence. And so that was not a factor that they needed to address. So we have the contributing factors, the key indicators, and then follow that up with data to determine if the proposed contributing factors are really the issue or not.